different. For those of you who have watched Roots, you remember Kunta Kinte, when they tried to force him to change his name. So these are a few more details of the slave trade and the issue of reparations. And I think that Kwasi's book is a very important contribution to the struggle for reparations, not only, like he said, in terms of monetary compensation, but also in terms of making people remember that history. There is something in history we call revisionism. Revisionism is when a government adopts a particular policy to try to rewrite the history according to how they want people to remember it. And I'm sorry to say, we saw a bit of revisionism in Ghana, where the issue of the founder of Ghana and the role of different political movements, and a new curriculum was written, and somebody's name was removed and reduced to one sentence and things like that. That is also revisionism. But even in terms of the slave trade, there's revisionism going on in this country. And not in this country, in this world. I don't know how many of you have visited the Smithsonian in America. I have. And it is such a beautiful documentation of American history. It starts from the early period of America, when it was only the Indians there, how they arrived there, how they settled, their way of life, and their beautiful exhibits. And then it moves from that period to when the migrants started coming from Ireland and other places, the Pilgrim Fathers and all of them, and settled on the West Coast. It also captures the early building of the railways. It captures the slave trade in detail and has exhibits on the slave trade. It captures how there was a push from the west to the east coast and how the Indians were dispossessed of their land. But it also has a lot of modern exhibits. The Apollo moon landing, the exhibits are there. The first computer that was built, you would learn about it. And so there's a lot to learn. And if you have been following the news, recently somebody said, the Smithsonian has too many negative stories. That is revisionism. And so if you go to the Smithsonian, you come out depressed. But that is your history. That is the truth. But of course, that is a way of attacking the Smithsonian and saying that, okay, take some of those adverts that are negative of America so that we can go through and see a happy story and we lived happily ever after America, and that is the intent of, going at the Smithsonian. And it's not only the Smithsonian, Black African Month and all that are all under attack by a new group who say they are tired of being politically correct. And so they must be left free to express their racist views. And so all these are happening. And so the reparations movement is being resisted. And like Kwasi said, we all saw the genocide. It was horrible. And I've watched documentaries on Auschwitz and how people were led like cattle into the gas chambers. And they were giving a different story that they were going, to be employed and paid and, to have a nice place to stay as prisoners. And yet the people running the camp knew that you were packing them into a place to gas them and kill them. Women, children, men. That was horrible. But like it was said, it's documented that 6 million people were affected. The slave trade was almost twice that. And so, like Kwasi said, if you can restitute for that, Why can we not demand restitution?
Munti na nabi o kind no e wo MB multimedia ye pagana nkoso